When you first start filming indoors in a studio setting, one of the most important accessories that you'll need right off the bat is a good light. No matter what kind of camera you're using, whether it be a Fujifilm or a GoPro, lighting is really key and it can make or break your video. In fact, when we first started our YouTube channel, one of the first things I bought besides the camera was a good light. It was this light in particular. So in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the qualities of a studio light that you should look for when you're shopping for one, as well as introduce you to 3 semi-affordable options if you're looking for a good light. So you might be wondering, do I really need a light of this size or bigger? Or if I have a smaller light, like one of these, can I use these instead? Let's see what happens. So now we've switched off that bigger Godox light and switched over to this little Rode light, which I really love. This is super great. It comes with the Rode mobile vlogging kit, but as you can see, using a light this small, even at its max power, just really doesn't do a whole lot when you're in a studio setting. As another example, here's what it looks like if I turn off my studio lights and just rely on the ambient light that's in my room. Now this room in particular has 3 overhead lights, so those are the only things that are on right now. But of course, it's going to really depend on what kind of ambient light your room has. But for the most part, rooms aren't really set up for filming, so that's why you don't want to rely just on your ambient light and why it's better to have a studio light instead. So the first thing you want to look for in a good studio light is continuous lighting. And that's as opposed to strobe lighting, which is more so for photography. Those lights emit just a quick burst of energy, and those are not good for video. So make sure you're going for a continuous light. The second quality you want is a dimmable light. So a lot of lights, including this one right here, can go from being full power to low power and everything in between. And that is super helpful because you never quite know how much light you're going to need. So if it's dimmable, you can tone down the power. The next quality you might want is a color changing light. Now you don't have to go crazy. A lot of lights today can give you all the colors of the rainbow, and that can be really cool, but at the very least, you want a light that can go from being warm toned to cool toned and maybe mixing those yellow and blue tones together. And that just gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of matching your white balance and controlling the overall color tones in your video. Next, you want a light that's pretty quiet, especially for filming audio with your video, like I'm doing right now. So the light that we're shooting with right now is actually a Godox light, and I'll go into more detail later, but overall it's super affordable, really great light quality, but it has a flaw. Don't know if you guys can hear that, but it makes some noise, and it's not a lot of noise, but it's enough that it's not ideal for when I'm shooting a talking head video like this or trying to get really crisp audio. So I still use this light a lot. It's, kind of like for B-roll or for photography, it's great, but if I want really good audio, it's actually not ideal. Next, you want to consider whether you want a light that can be battery powered or just plugged into a wall. Some lights have to be plugged into a wall, and those are usually lights with some really high output. But there are more lights today that give you the option of being plugged into a wall or having these batteries so that the light is more portable. And for me, I really value the portability, so having a battery-powered option is super important for me. And speaking of portability, that's one of the last features to look for in a good studio light. You have to consider whether you're going to film primarily in one spot, and so if that's the case, then maybe you can go for a slightly heavier or bigger light that you don't mind keeping in one place. But if you plan to shoot maybe in a studio sometimes and also transport that lighting kit around, then you really want to consider a smaller light that travels really well. So all 3 of these lights that I'm about to talk about are definitely portable and very travel friendly. Before I talk about those 3 specific lights, let's talk about 2 accessories that you might need in addition to your light. The first is a light stand. Now, light stands are really important because if you don't have one, then there's not a really obvious place to put your light. Pretty much every light out there is made to work with a light stand. So make sure that you get one that is lightweight yet sturdy enough to support the weight of whatever light that you're using. The next accessory that you're probably going to need is a lighting modifier of some kind. The main reason why you need a modifier is that if you take any of these lights as is and you turn them on, they're going to be really harsh and really bright. Even if they have a dimming feature, that light is still going to be a little bit harsher than you're probably going to want, and that's going to give you a lot of harsh shadows. And if you're trying to film somebody with the light, then it's going to, be super bright in their eyes. So those are the two accessories that I really recommend getting along with your studio light. The nice thing is, a lot of times whenever you buy a studio light, there are options to get a kit, and that kit often includes a light stand and a lighting modifier of some kind, and there's usually a little discount. So be sure to look out for a kit if you don't already own light stands or lighting modifiers. So now let's talk about those affordable lighting options. But first, let me just clarify that affordable is definitely going to be relative. This may or may not be affordable to you, but these lights are relatively cheap compared to some of those lights out there, like that very popular Aperture 120D that a lot of YouTubers like to use. That light is over $1,000. So these lights are way under $1,000, and so that's how I'm classifying affordable. So I'm going to start off with a bonus light, and this one is free. There's no cost to use it, and that is natural lighting. The only problem with using natural lighting that comes from the sunlight or just your ambient light from wherever you are is that it's very inconsistent throughout the day. So unless you're filming in the exact same spot, in the exact same time, with the exact same natural lighting conditions, then it's really hard to rely on it. When we first started our YouTube channel, a lot of our first videos were filmed with natural lighting, and I'm not proud of the lighting quality of those videos. I learned pretty quickly that I should be relying on a studio light instead of the sunlight for videos. So that leads me to the very first light that we ever purchased for our YouTube channel, and it's still available. This is a super affordable light by Neewer. It's a really basic LED light panel, and it is really lightweight. It can be battery powered or plugged into a wall, but we use this for the first 2-3 years of our YouTube channel, up until really recently. So these are, $70, I think, each, which isn't too bad because they'll last you a long time and they give you a really nice light quality. If you're gonna use a light panel such as this Neewer, I don't recommend using it by itself. Definitely get some kind of diffuser or lighting modifier to soften that light. And so this is one of my favorite little diffusers that we've been using with these light panels. These, are a little bit big for these light panels, but that's nice because the bigger the light source, the softer and better the light quality. These diffusers can also fold and pack down really small, so they're really great for travel. All right, so I did a light change up. This Godox right here was the one that was being used to light us earlier in the video, and that light quality was obviously a lot better than it is right now. The Neewer is now lighting us along with that diffusion dome up front, and as you can see, it's okay lighting, but there's some harsh shadows behind me. I would have to totally change up the setup, basically move my desk further away from the wall to try to get rid of these shadows. But yeah, I'm not gonna try to do that right now. So yeah, this is one of the many reasons why that Neewer light had to be replaced with something bigger. Ooh, I just could not deal with that Neewer light, so I swapped it out for the third light that we're gonna talk about. But for now, let's talk more about this Godox light here. This Godox light was a super popular alternative to that Aperture 120D, which again costs, upwards of $1,000. A lot of people were looking at a similar light like this Godox as a replacement. And this Godox light is just under $200. It comes with or without this diffuser here. Again, really recommend using that diffuser if you want super nice soft shadows on your subject. The light quality, as you saw earlier, is pretty fantastic. And so yeah, it looked like a really good overall light. But I was really disappointed by the fact that it makes a lot of noise when it's turned on. And again, it's not super distracting, but it's distracting enough where if you're trying to get really crisp audio, the noise of this light just interferes with that. So it's not really a problem if you're going to be filming B-roll with no audio. So that's really how I use this light today. I don't use it to film these types of videos or interview videos for the most part. I really just film my B-roll and maybe do some product photography with this light. And this light is fantastic for that. Another downside to this light is that even though it is packable, I find that it's just a little bit bigger and heavier than some of the other alternatives out there. So yeah, the Godox could work for you, but it really depends on your situation. But the price is definitely right. I think for 200 bucks you can get the light, a light stand, and this diffuser with it. So that's a really good deal. So the third and final light I'm going to talk about is the one that I've been using to film all of my YouTube videos as of late. If you've noticed a quality change in the lighting of our videos filmed in here, it's because this light has just been fantastic, and it's really blown me away ever since I got it, I think just about a month ago. This is a light panel by Falcon Eyes, and it might look really big and intimidating, but it actually is really small if you were to strip off this diffuser up front. This light comes with, I think, 3 different diffusers. It comes with a regular white panel, a honeycomb grid. Honeycomb grids are really good for concentrating the light so that it doesn't spill out around you, and also a light dome. The light quality, as you can see from earlier and some of our previous videos on this channel, is incredible. I think this is one of the most beautiful lights that I've seen. I've been really impressed with how it treats skin and just makes people look in front of the camera. But the best part about it is how small it folds down. This whole light right here, including these diffusers, fits in this bag. So it's ultra portable and really great for travel. If you're not familiar with the concept of the lighting panel that's here, it's super thin, and it's incredible how thin it is. But because it's so thin, you can roll it down and it fits inside of that little travel bag. I've wanted a light panel like this ever since my photography days. I remember just thinking, oh, that'd be so great for travel and going on set, different places, but I was always scared by the price. Same with the Godox light, which we're back to filming with again. All of these lights were really, really expensive. They cost, a minimum $1,000. And so the fact that they've come down to, well under $500 is really incredible. Speaking of price, this Falcon Eyes is the most expensive of the 3 lights that I'm talking about today. And that could be something that deters you. It's $429 US. However, if you think about the light quality that you get out of it, plus the 3 diffusers that are included, and I think there's even some kits that come with a light stand as well, it's a really good deal. The other downside to this Falcon Eyes light, besides the price, is the fact that you have to plug it into a wall, or you have to buy an extra battery pack if you want to make it really portable and not plug it into a wall. So for the most part, we keep this light here in the studio and we film a lot of these types of videos here with it. But I love the option to roll it up, stick it in a bag, and take it with me on site, as long as I can shoot somewhere that has a power outlet to plug it in. So those are 3 relatively affordable studio light options for you, as well as some qualities that you want to look for when you're buying a studio light. I hope this video really helps explain why studio lights are so important and why they're much better than having a smaller light such as this little vlogging light. But there is definitely a time and a place to use a small light versus a bigger light. Just depends on where you're filming and what kind of content you're trying to make. So let me know in the comments what you think. If you own any of these lights, if you have any questions about the lights, let me know. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.